Hello, hello. Welcome back to Unapologetically Wild with me, Katie Sontag. Today, I have so many beautiful things that I would like to share around one beautiful message. And as the nervous system is my piece and what I talk about, I want to talk about how to create an external reality, and sometimes to not even see it in the external yet, but to change your external reality and to transform your life, you have to first transform your internal reality. And to be honest, sometimes I believe that when that happens, there is absolutely no way that the universe can't respond to you, because you are putting out a different frequency. You're holding a different standard. You have different habits. You show up differently. And this then creates a world where the external shows up how you show up. It meets you in the frequency, in the energy, in where you are in your body, your nervous system. Because before that, a lot of the time we talk about how most people live in a reality where it doesn't meet what they want, right? And I think we're all very guilty of that, of wanting it to meet a certain expectation. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having goals and going after them and wanting a different life. And in the military, we get taught that to do that, we have to push and prove and do everything to a very high standard to get to be noticed, to be promoted, to be deployed, to get opportunities if we want to move forward and progress and be successful in the military. And when you live by that drive, and for me, if you know about my story, I already lived that with elite sport before that, right? So I'm building this incredible ability to be disciplined and consistent and all these skills that are not bad, except when they are then your core identity and the only thing you know how to do. And you can be successful pushing and proving and doing all the things. And I always like to say a lot of people look successful on paper, but internally they're drowning. And this is very, very big for high-performing women. How do I know? Because I am one. And you can look amazing on paper. You can be getting deployments, getting transfers into the job you want. You can be getting promoted. And yet you can be deeply unsatisfied. You can be sad. You can be consumed with your perfectionism, consumed with hate or anger or fear or shame or guilt for a multitude of reasons. And what that does is it means that inside, in your internal world, you don't feel safe. And you can get so good at it, you can override all your systems to the point where you'll push your body to its nth degree and you'll push your mind past where it knows how to be, or it'll do it but freak out that something's going to go wrong at every turn, or prepare for the worst always. And you can live in that survival reality forever. People do it all the time. And we talk about how you get consumed by your circumstance. And that's a really big thing. And recently somebody called me out on it. And I'm so grateful for them, because I was. I was being consumed by things around me, people around me, situations around me, and not honoring the fact that I can change my whole life. I felt like I had to be in these places doing these things because that's what my external reality was showing me. But the only reason it was showing me that was because I kept feeding that. I kept feeding the thoughts, the fears, all of these pieces. Yet what my reality was also showing me were all these beautiful opportunities and things that were coming to me that I was not concentrating on. And if you think about it in your life, a lot of the time it's like, the best example is thinking, when you get 1,000 beautiful comments and one person tells you they don't like your hair, and all you can think about is the one person and remember the one person that didn't like your hair. Sounds ridiculous, but it's very true. We are very good as humans at remembering the negative over the positive, concentrating on the fear, concentrating on what's going wrong. And the more we speak it into the world, our words being spells that we cast out, the more we immerse ourselves in environments that don't serve us. And we keep feeding off people around us that actually aren't thinking bigger or growing more or investing in themselves. There's so many ways you can do that, by the way. Then we start to become what our environment is showing us. And without even knowing, our nervous systems regulate to the people around us. It's why very fit people who are friends with very fit people stay very fit, right? And when people leave fitness environments, they then become very unfit if they hang out with very unfit people. Same in every situation. And because I was seeing my life through a lens of fear, through a lens of what was around me, and that doesn't mean that I wasn't having all these beautiful things happen. Like I said, I was just concentrating on the other things. I missed so much. And it wasn't until I invested in a new person to help me with something beautiful that is amazing. And I'm so grateful for her because I'm always looking to invest in new things. And I just hadn't really taken a leap in something because nothing had called to me from anywhere yet to say, like, this is the person and this is the thing to move you forward. And then, of course, the universe then slapped me in the face with about 8 people telling me the same thing on one day. And then the offer coming through and it all being perfect and aligned, right? Because, of course, and I had heard the same message from my guides literally months before. But do you think I listened? No. And that's a funny thing about intuition sometimes is we think, I'm totally tapped in, I'm listening all the time. It doesn't mean I always action it. And that's the next piece, right? You can be disciplined and consistent. And if you're intuitive, sometimes we get these feelings and we don't always act on them. And we're all guilty of it. I do it all the time. And it's so funny, but when you do act on them, so much else opens up in so many other ways that you almost are like, wow, what if I listened 6 months ago? And my guides up there are like laughing right now. And they're like, well, yeah, like, duh. And so it's so funny how that happens. And of course, it's all part of the journey. You listen, you do it the right time, it came out. And I was laughing and it all literally came to me on one day. Like, people I'd never met were giving me the same advice. They'd never met me in my life at a networking event. And they were all saying the same thing. So it was just wild to me that during that day, of course, the universe and my guides were like, well, if you're not listening to us, we'll just tell you in the 3D and we'll show you the path perfectly so you can take it and it will change everything for you. And a lot of people could look around and go, but your external world's still the same. You still got all these opportunities coming in, all these beautiful women you're working with, all of these great things, right? And they could say, like, you invested time and energy and did all these things, even when I was in survival, to these people so that if they were the right fit, they would come into my world. But it's something different about holding when you're in a space of, I like to think of it as like in business. I'm going to use business as an example because it's a really good one. You can come from a space of like, I, need to make money and I've got to have clients, I've got to do all the things. And you come from this like survival selling space, right? And that's not even about how you interact with someone. It's genuinely just how you feel in your body. And obviously people feel that, right? They're going to be like, well, that feels a bit off. And then you can come from this space where you're like, I have a brilliant offer. I'm really good at what I do. And if this calls to you, then come and join my world. If it doesn't, that's okay too. And so I think the beautiful thing about that is that we get to honor, someone's just calling me, honor how we feel and what nudges we get and how we move in the world. And when you come from a place of survival, you don't see everything, you don't feel everything, because all you're doing is looking down a tunnel and you're just moving to the next step, and you've just got to somehow make it work, and you've got to take everything because you need it. You come from this energy of, I need that to survive, right? That's literally what survival mode is. It's what we've done through our whole existence as humans. We have to survive, we have to eat, we have to pay bills, we have to do all these things, right? I mean, obviously in the caveman days, they didn't have to worry about bills, but they would survive and need food and hunt and all these things. And nowadays that just looks a bit different. It's just people being in the world and doing the things that get them by each day, being in environments that get them by each day. And that is a place where we can flux in and out of throughout our lives. It's not something that's not, you're not going to never live it again, I mean, I hope you don't, if I'm honest, but I also know that teaches us so many beautiful things about what that feels like and how we can come out of it. But it's really the internal shift that makes the difference. And I want to talk about that because there's a different energy, and I'm going to use business again as an example because it's been quite prominent right now for what I want to share. When you come from, I invite you into my space and I'm safe, I'm good, I have everything I need. If you would like to join this space, I would love that. And your nervous system feels different. I remember sometimes I would get nervous to send people messages about like inviting them into my offer. Could be even free. Sometimes it didn't even cost anything. And you get this feeling of, oh gosh, are they going to be like, is she selling too much? She's messaged me like 8 times. And that's a huge exaggeration. This is the brain, right? These are the stories. Why does she care? This is so annoying. I wish she'd go away. Look, if people feel that way, they're going to unfollow you or they're going to stop messaging you back because you're not going to message them if they keep replying, right? So it was so interesting. I'd have this energy, and being in a masculine, environment of the Defense Force, normally that would be like push through, push through, push through. And there is an element in business where you actually need to go through a stage where you start sending messages from the fact that you are scared, because if you don't then teach yourself how to do it regulated. And the beautiful difference of selling regular, and remember people used to tell me this, right? And there's levels, right? There's people on so many different levels when it comes to this. But the level I've moved to is that it's an invitation into my work, which is sacred. And also a huge breakthrough that came through for me literally the other weekend when I got off social media, of course. When I stopped having all these external things come into my brain from everywhere, and I literally sat in my house, I do this, sat at my altar, and I just sat, literally sat. I didn't do anything, didn't say anything. What it did was it gave me the breakthrough that literally the world had also been trying to tell me, and the universe. Slow down to listen and let us tell you and show you what we've been trying to tell you and show you forever. Your leadership skills. You're not the facilitator anymore. And by this, I mean, I am the facilitator. I'll rephrase. You're not just the practitioner anymore. Here's the thing. When you move into certain levels of leadership in your nervous system and leadership in life and embodiment and performance, the first level is the push level, where you're like pushing and pushing and driving and driving and trying to get it done. This is the army way. This is how we're taught. This is how we move to get things started. And people will talk about the hustle in business, right? Same with fitness. At first, it's harder than any other stage because you're getting into consistency, discipline, turning up, putting your shoes on. You know what I mean? And so the piece with that is, as you get further in, that becomes a little bit easier. It doesn't mean that it's easy, ever, but it just means that it becomes a bit easier to show up. And even when you're not feeling as good. And then there's another level. And for business, it's, like I said, messaging someone and offering, knowing that your visibility is literally what is going to keep your business running. So if you're not visible to the world, how do they even know what you're offering? And how does the person who needs you even able to see you? And I talked about this in my last episode. But it's you holding the safety in yourself that you're okay if they don't buy or they don't say yes to you. It's removing your nervous system from it being about you or your worth. Because at the end of the day, it's a service that you provide, but it says nothing about you as a human or your safety or your love or who you are. It is still technically a service, which is a product. Not a tangible product, but yes, you are the brand, sure. But you don't have to be all of that. You get to be parts of you in your own time. You get to honor all parts of you. That is one aspect that you put out into the world so that you can serve at your greatest capacity. And I love that in the nervous system understanding of this, it's you just feeling safe to receive. And be seen in all aspects of you. It doesn't really matter what they see. You don't have to curate it, but you can if you want to. There's things that you don't have to share and you can share. You get all of those choices. It's your brand, it's your business, it's your service. And for so long, I would get consumed with the fact that, like, if, maybe I need another accreditation because everyone seems to be hiring these people who have this certain, let's say, breath work. All these, everyone wants breath work. And breath work is amazing, by the way. I'm not a breath work facilitator. I use the breath in movement in my own way, but I'm not a facilitator technically. I don't have a certificate. And so that's interesting, right? Because I was like, oh, all these people want breath work. I need to do all of it. I need to be a breath work coach. I need to be in energy healing. I need to be this. I need to do that. I need to do all the things. I can hold all of it. And I can. I proved that to myself. I ran a full retreat doing it. Was it probably the best use of my energy and time and skills? The women who went said yes. could I have actually also had more support and given myself the chance to shine in areas that really are where I get to shine? Abso-fucking-lutely. Here's the thing. When you start to let go of it being who you are, same with the army, same with the pushing mentality as a high-performing woman, when you start to allow yourself to be soft and receive, as I've said before, it's a very daunting experience at first, but holy crap, it is the most nourishing, beautiful experience when you start to allow it. And when you feel safe in yourself, the internal world of you, it actually doesn't matter what happens externally. It doesn't rock you the same way like it used to. To be honest, you become stronger in what you want and what you need, and honoring yourself and your boundaries and who you are and how you want to show up. And for a while, the external world might not fully shift yet. There's always a lag. And I always talk about this with my clients when they're going through a breakdown, right? The breakdown or the time when it's rough or the time when it's not working, right? In quotation marks, if you can't see me on the video. That is the most beautiful time. Not for you when you're going through it. Absolutely not. It's testing. It sucks. It's hard. You've got to make all these decisions. You've got to show up, see how you want to show up in the world. Are you willing to stay with your vision, or are you going to let it go? For all the things you ask for from God, Spirit, universe, are you actually going to hold the vision and stay with it? Do you really want it, is what the universe is asking you. That is the crux of the breakthrough, really. Because if you don't go through that time where your world is shaken up, and if we think about tarot, it's the Tower card, right? Like when it's everything, all your foundations are shaking, everything's being shook up. It has to be, because if you don't see yourself in a new light, if you don't honor the new things that you need to know, if you don't start moving in a different direction, then you don't allow yourself to actually get to the side where you're killing it. And that could be making money, more clients. Like it could be so many different things, right? It could be your health could be better. You could have a new job. You could have beautiful new work friends or different friends, all the things. And I think a lot of the time we underestimate how resilient and powerful we are. And the army builds that for us. It does actually build us resilience through pain and, let's be honest, trauma. Yet it is a gift in some ways, because when we then get in hard things in life, as I've discharged and gone through things that most people would have given up a long time ago, entrepreneurship is a beautiful beast that also teaches you that. I didn't. I held the vision. And then I had some beautiful woman walk into my life and say, "You're living in your circumstance, get out." And I love these reminders, because then I've had beautiful other women come in to collab and do all these other different things. And I've had all these opportunities where the world has shown me my leadership and my abilities, because these women are coming in and asking for me to lead the collaboration, asking for my advice and how I've done it. And I had to go through running my own retreat and all these other things and build to where I am. But they're also showing me that I don't need to just be the practitioner. Actually, that just gets to be one part of me. And I'm the leader that holds it together. I don't have to be the only one in the room. I get to collaborate. I get to share. I get to actually put other people's gifts out in the world as their practitioner gifts, right? And I get to lead and do what I do best, which is transform people's lives through my leadership, through my experience, through everything I've been through. And safety in that, in my nervous system and belief, is where that has to come from. You can't walk into a room shaking and questioning yourself, although that's how it first starts. Let's be real, we all have to do that at first. And there will be definitely moments where I'm freaking the fuck out. Because that's life. We don't grow unless we do scary things. And I'm grateful for that, but I'm also more grateful for the fact that I learnt to soften and receive. Because when I got in my nervous system and I gave myself the time to fully rest, and for me, rest is at my altar with my guides, being with the universe, and honoring what I can see coming through, because I'm no longer in survival, so I'm receiving messages better. Also, my guides get so sick of me, they send me 1,000 messages instead of just one through many human beings. But what happened was, the shift is how it started was I started giving things to my VA. And I had not realized, I'd never done this. I send out messages to people to say, hey, I'd love to invite you to my events. And let me know if that feels good for you and you want the link. And I'd never given that to my VA, ever, because I just do it on myself. And I handed it, I was like, can you please send out this message? And I sent a couple of messages so that she could feel into what felt good to send out to who. Because also, no, everyone needs to receive the same message. And she sent them out. And I was like, wow, I didn't have to carry any of that. Not the thoughts of, oh gosh, should I send it to this person? And in my body wondering what they're going to think about it. And having all these things happen. I just got to receive the messages and reply back and be like, I love you, yay, or that's okay, maybe next time, or it's so great to connect with you. And I realized how much I hadn't really honored support. The same with this, investing in this lady. I'm obviously there to lead and say what I want from what we're collabing together. But she did all the work in the back end for what I needed. And fuck, it was beautiful. And I received so many beautiful things already. And then the same with this other collaboration, I get to lead, but we can bring in facilitators or practitioners or whatever you want to use the word as. And I can hold the room. And in my leadership, in my ability, we all have gifts and strengths. And I talked about that obviously a couple of episodes ago. But this is why you have to allow yourself to be supported and receive. Because then that allowed something else beautiful to come into my life. And then all of a sudden, I was in such a feminine flow. I was receiving in every area of my life without even doing anything. I know that sounds strange to a high-performing woman. I also would not have believed myself if I had said this years ago. But it's divine. And because we're high-performing women, we still do it, right? We still do things. We don't do nothing. I mean, sorry, you absolutely should do nothing, but you're going to use that nothing time to rejuvenate yourself. And all of a sudden you're going to have this like creativity and joy and freedom and love, which then fuels you to actually look at your life not in a survival way anymore, because your nervous system feels so at home that you feel safe, even when your world around you may be chaotic, because you've got you. You trust that you're on the right path. Not everything has to be perfect externally before that happens. And do you know how divine that is? When your nervous system feels safe, you actually feel euphoric. I also never thought that would ever come out of my mouth, that word. Not about your body and your nervous system. And again, doesn't mean that you don't have moments that are, push you or test you or, you're like, But you come from a place of not saying, please pick me in any aspect of your life, to please join me. Or I would love for you to be there if you feel called. And there's something so beautiful about that. And recently, just being in my feminine even deeper, again, did not think was possible. It's so nourishing and so fulfilling. But the only way you can do it is if you slow down and let yourself be safe in your body and check in, see what happens. Even in small interactions like messages, you can see what your body does. Does it get anxious? Does it get scared? Do you watch something on the news and feel fear? Why? What's going on beneath that? And I don't mean you have to go down and into all your trauma all the time, because let's be real, healing is a process, but sometimes it's not always about investigating everything you've been through. Sometimes it's just sitting with your body in a moment and being like, what's actually coming up for me right now? How can I support my nervous system in this moment? I love this beautiful thing that, I forget her name, but I watch her all the time on Instagram. She has this beautiful piece where before she goes into her bank account, she's a money coach and a nervous system coach. She literally is like, puts her hands, I don't even know, actually, I put my hands on my heart and my tummy. I don't know if she does that, but she's like, I am safe. But like feels it in her body, like not just like says the words. Because a lot of time, you can say things. And at first, that's how it always feels. Like, you say something, it might feel weird, but you keep saying it. And then eventually you work out how to have it in your nervous system and hold it. And that's the beautiful growth part of every level. And it just is such a different energy to come from. And people feel that. And they are like, oh my gosh. And they just want to like hold you. Like they just like want to be closer to you. And they want to feel that beautiful, grounded, sensual calm of the nervous system. And I feel blessed every time I go through an up level to show people how to do that. And yeah, a lot of time the lag of the external world is not very fun, especially when you know your nervous system's upgraded. But the thing with it is, because your nervous system is upgraded, you almost look out and you're like, well, I have everything I need. I'm safe. You actually have the ability to allow yourself to wait instead of feeling like every moment you need to solve everything in your life. And trust me, I still have those moments where when I'm in that survival or the growth period, I have to solve everything tomorrow. And I'm probably going to have another thought like that. Do you know what I mean? The difference is when you catch those thoughts and you can go, actually, I don't need to solve any of that today. I am A-okay. And it's beautiful. And it's when you come back into your heart space as well. You see the gratitude and you see the love. Because in survival, it's very hard to see that. But in your nervous system, when you're regulated, you see it so much more in everything. And you could feel it in your heart. And it's so beautiful. And I'm excited to share this. I'm running a masterclass on the 3rd of June. So if you want to join, we'll put it in the show notes. It's called Stop Surviving Success. Because I want to show you that you can be successful. You don't have to survive. You can thrive and be regulated and feel good and up level through that and understand how to do that, how to get there. I want you to feel this. And I want to show you how. So if you feel like you would love to stop surviving success and start thriving in success and feeling regulated in your nervous system, please join us. because it's going to be such a transformational 90 minutes where I show you and help you actually understand what I mean. It's going to be amazing, especially with my ex-army to then becoming a spiritual healer. Think about that contrast. Bit wild, I know. I can show you how to hold both because it's literally what I've done in my life and what I've mastered. And I'm really good at it. So I want you to really let your body tell you what it needs. And if you want to know more, join me. I am going to go now. I feel like it's complete, this podcast. Been very in my body, this podcast. I thank you for your beautiful time and energy being here and listening to me, having me in your ears. And I hope you have the most magical, wonderful day. Would love for you to like, comment, and share this with anyone who you feel called would really enjoy it and needs to know that it's possible, because I'm here to show you it is and support you through that if you feel called. And I'd love for you to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Don't have to wait till I announce them on social media. If you do share it on your social media, please tag Unapologetically Wild with Katie on Instagram. And I'd love for you to come over to my page and follow me, share anything either privately with me or in a comment that you got out of this episode. And I look forward to being in your ears next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I love you all. Go be unapologetically wild and unapologetically you.